Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We are continuing today from last time, in which we spoke about the the diagram of words and how words work in the Arabic language. That is, how to learn words according to an understanding of reality. Well, last time we said that language is not merely a representation of reality, but it generates reality. That learning words, the process of vocabulary acquisition, is one and the same with actually learning these meanings themselves. And we spoke about how there is a hierarchy of meanings. That if you want to learn words, you must follow the structure of meanings themselves in reality. You must begin with those words which are fundamental, those words which are the first principles. We had this fundamental principle of logic, that الحكم على الشيء فرع عن تصوره. That is an idea of a tree, the ahkam, those corollaries of a meaning, are like the branches of a tree, that it is a tree structure to reality. And before we can understand the leaves and the branches, we must begin with the trunk, we must begin with the roots. So every word has a root. Not just a root of letters, that is true. Every word consists of root letters. But now the meanings themselves of the words are also composed in a hierarchy, where some words are more fundamental than the other. For example, before we can understand that water flows, we need to know what water is. That from the concept of water, there is an entire diagram of interrelated meanings. The idea that water flows, the idea that water is still, that you have rain and thunder and clouds. It's an entire diagram of meaning surrounding water. That is what we spoke about last time. We said that we are not learning individual words. This is wrong. Learning words is not a matter of memorizing a sheet of vocabulary on a piece of paper, but learning words is an embodied practice of imbibing reality itself. To learn a word is literally to drink its essence, to assimilate it entirely. Like with food, when we consume food, we're not just taking it into ourselves, but we are becoming one with the food. The food becomes a part of us. We completely digest and assimilate it. That is the same with the process of learning. When we learn a new word, a new grammatical construction, a new sentence, we have to think of this as a form of eating. We are eating and drinking these meanings. The soul is consuming this feast. That Al-Qur'an ma'dubatullah, the Quran is the banquet of God. Ma'duba, a banquet, a feast. The Quran is the banquet of God, the spiritual banquet, full of spiritual sustenance and nourishment and food and delight that we are invited towards. The idea of da'wah, the call unto this deen, is like a call into the company of God. It's like a call to feast and dine upon these meanings, these revelations of God, because that is what the food of the spirit is. The food of flesh is flesh. The food of spirit is spirit, which is the Quran, the meanings of the Quran. And so, to learn a word is like completely assimilating and digesting it until the word is literally a part of your being. That is what it means to learn. That therefore requires learning which is not only mental, not only physical, but a learning at every single level of our being. Learning which taps into every dimension of our being. If we learn upon the tongue, the knowledge will be upon the tongue. That is why I keep giving the example of Abu Jahl. He spoke Arabic with his tongue, with his lisan, but not with his heart. His heart did not understand Arabic. It did not understand the language of God. Conversely, we can have people who do not speak Arabic with the tongue, but their heart speaks Arabic. Their heart is directly communing with the meanings of Arabic. And that ultimately is what we seek. Ultimately, that is the goal of this. Of course, inshallah, we want to learn high, pristine Arabic upon the tongue, on every aspect of our body. But ultimately, the body shall wither into dust. That is not what we take into the next world. It does not matter how well we spoke Arabic here. What matters is how well we understood Arabic, understood the Quran, became the Quran. Therefore, the process of learning words is to imbibe the meanings, to assimilate them and become one with them. And to imbibe meanings, we must imbibe reality itself. The spirit learns not by focusing just on one thing, but on everything. We have to understand the spirit, the ruh, is not like the body. The body can only be in one place at a particular time. The body can only do one thing. It can be in one state, one posture, one action. The spirit is not like the body. The spirit is pure unity. The spirit can unite many different things. The spirit can do many things at once, be in many places at once. If we want to learn spiritual Arabic, we must learn by the spirit. We must drink meaning spiritually. We must be in a constant state, a constant spiritual state of perceiving reality. Whithersoever we are, we can be studying Arabic. We can study Arabic by merely gazing upon the clouds. We can study Arabic in a state of tranquil repose and meditation. We can study Arabic in our sleep. We can study Arabic lying down or reading a book. Whatever state we are in, we can be learning this Arabic. And so these are the examples I gave last time. That we learn in a completely holistic endeavor, with all of our senses, all of our faculties, with the utmost and full concentration of our presence and perception. We drink Arabic directly. Now, I want to speak more about this embodied nature of learning. As I keep repeating, language is not representation, language is reality. We must understand this. Arabic is not a representation of the thing. The kalima is the that of that thing. That is its essence, its ma'na. Arabic is inside of things. In touching a rock, you can learn the meaning of the rock. For example, there are two words for rock. I'll bring out my pen now. There is hajra, hajratun, and also sakhratun. These are both words for a particular rock. Hajra and sakhra. Now, what do I mean in an embodied way? Well, firstly, you might notice that, well, what are the roots? We know that here is going to be a ha, jim, ra, here a sad, kha, ra. Immediately, we might notice that there is a ra repeated at the end. We might notice that you have a ha and a jim and a tha, and they are all of the same family. We might notice that the pattern of both is fa'la, fa'lun, and fa'latun. Why is a hajara hajara? Why is a sakhra sakhra? This goes into the meanings of the letters. By perceiving the rock or the stone, notice in English we have different meanings as well. There is a meaning which comes from that. I would ask you right now, just listen to the sounds. More than that, feel the sounds. As you articulate it, feel your tongue and the shape and the feeling of this word. Hajara, sahra. It is a form of meditation. very, very acutely perceive the utmost infinitesimal details and textures of these words, the sounds, the images. Perceive the rock. Imagine that you are touching a rock, that you are in a desert or at the beach, and you are feeling, smelling, completely one with the rock. That is where the word comes from. This word does not come from a dictionary, not from someone else. It comes from the reality itself. God named the thing to be what it is. God gave it its name. The name was not, again, a representation of the rock. It was the rock. It is not that there is a rock, and then it is called al-hajaratun or sakhratun. It is that there was the meaning of al-sakhr, al-hajar, in the mind of God. That these ma'ani, al-kalimat, kalimatullah, salihatu, baqiyat, were in the mind of God, the eternal meanings of God, His kalam. And that then there was the physical rock in a desert or on the beach. Then the physical rock was created so to manifest the meaning of God. The sod has a sense of solidity, of hardness, compactness. The kha has a meaning of roughness, thickness. The khana, the khushuna, it's a rough, thick letter. Kha. The ra has a repetition, the karra. Shajar, al-hajar, wa-shajar. What is that? Hajar, rock. Shajar, tree. The jim and the ra. The jim has a sense of solidity. Jism, jirm, jasad, a body. Jim has the meaning of a body. The ha, rih, ruh, al-habra, al-hayah. The ha has a meaning of presence. These meanings are coming together to make that meaning of the rock. And hopefully it is clear that we learn these meanings from actually perceiving and drinking this meaning directly. The body touches and perceives the physical rock. The heart perceives the spiritual meaning of the rock. And the heart is seeing, smelling, tasting. Tasting is the deepest form of perception in the Arabic language. Because to see a thing is for there to be a distance. To touch is much closer. Again, smelling is closer. But the most intimate way in which you can perceive a thing is by dhawq. That is to taste the thing. To taste something, you must literally insert it into yourself. It must become a part of yourself. Dhawq is the most intense and intimate and real, deep perception and knowledge. There is no knowledge, no level of knowledge greater than dhawq. We need to literally taste, drink, eat these meanings. At-tadawwuq. Write this word down. At-tadawwuq. I might even ask to remember the form of tadawwuq and what therefore may be its meaning. And if you remember, it is on the pattern tafa'ul. And as I keep mentioning, this pattern tafa'ul is a process, not just one though. This is a continual, gradual process of dhawq after dhawq, tasting after tasting. Like when we eat, there's a process of eating and consuming the feast, every morsel after another morsel. This is how we learn. The ma'dulatullah, the Quran. We eat it piece by piece, assimilate it slowly, slowly, with etiquette, with adab. Right? Ma'duba, feast, is related to adab. What is the connection? It's because the greatest time in which you can see someone's adab, their sense of character and propriety, the most delicate manners and articulations is when you dine with them. Why in high society, in every culture, there's a very meticulous process of dining, many rules. Not to say that is necessarily a good thing, it can be good or bad, but to say that there's a very consummate process, that eating is very intimate. It said about Umar radiallahu anhu that ما رأيت أحسن منه أكلا. I did not see anyone who ate in a more beautiful manner than he did. This is profound. The meanings of the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was found also in their eating. They drank and ate in such a beautiful manner. That is the adab. When we read the Quran, when we are in a state of worship, it is as if, rather it is, that we are at the spiritual banquet. Wherefore we as the guests must show our adab. This is how we learn the Arabic language. And really, this completely suffices. I know that I haven't given word tables yet and vocabulary lists. The truth of the matter is that is not important. And I have enough experience to say that. My own experience, and also seeing that with many people around me who have tried to learn the Arabic language, it doesn't matter. The truth is, someone who's going to learn the Arabic language will learn the Arabic language even if they had no teacher and had no vocabulary list, because they would simply do it. Or they would simply find it, because their love and passion is that great. Because they sat at the banquet of God with the utmost adab and feasted upon this language. Others did not even attend the banquet to begin with, because they did not enter into the spiritual meaning. They wanted to learn a language for whatever reason, but it was not for God. So the banquet never even started. They were not learning with their spirits. They were learning with the tongues, not with the hearts, not with the spirits. Others did not have adab in the court of God. They sat down, but perhaps engorged themselves upon the food, trying to learn as quickly as possible, not respecting the language, not respecting these meanings and what they are eating, consuming them in a weird combination, not preserving the meticulous properties of everything. There's a course in a feast, there's small courses after small courses. They complement each other. To learn the Arabic language, there's a progression. You have to begin with a certain taste, develop that taste. Understanding this spiritual principle is the greatest key to learning Arabic, to learning these words. Two things, as I've said. One is to understand that we learn the words not just by the tongue, but by the heart and by the spirit. That we drink the meanings of these words directly from their spiritual source. Two, that we attend this adab, this ma'duba with adab. We attend the banquet with the utmost propriety, the respect, manners, the spiritual etiquette and knowledge of how to be. Adab is not just a set of rules, not a set of behaviors one can enact. It is an entire mode of being. To be muta'addib, to be a cultured person, to be a person resplendent with the glorious manners, with makarim al-akhlaq. As the Prophet said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. That I was sent, the purpose of my being sent was to perfect character. To perfect character. Now that is the second principle. I might add the other principle from last time, which is how to learn the words by imbibing reality itself. Putting this all together, the entire cosmos is the Quran. As I said, there are two meanings of the Quran. One is the revelation as a book. The other is the al-Kawn itself. The cosmos itself is the macrocosmic that we learn by attending this banquet of God, which is reality itself. Reality is the theophany of God. And by consuming spiritually these meanings, by the heart and by the soul, by the spirit, feasting upon the meanings of God, imbibing them, utterly becoming one with them, perceiving things at their utmost depth, in one word, in this one word, sophor, you can attain unto the perfect theophany of God. Think about how you can develop your mind and your consciousness to hone your senses. Think about someone who has been practicing martial arts for tens of years, for decades. How they can hone their bodies, their senses, their balance. Think about what the body can be developed into. Think of a master like Bruce Lee or someone like that, what they can do with their bodies after developing their senses. Think then also, what can we do to our minds? How can we develop our mind and our senses to likewise perceive the most infinitesimal, intricate meanings inside of the hidden spaces of every sound and texture and line? Everything is Arabic. The shapes and curvature of the rock is Arabic. The glowing of the sun at dawn is Arabic. The wind which chimes through the trees is Arabic. The winnows of the ocean and the rivulets which are formed by its currents, it is in Arabic. The stones at the center of the earth speak Arabic. The atoms in the far reaches of the cosmos sing Arabic. Everything is al-Arabiyyah. Everything is kalamullah, kalimatullah. We can learn the kalam of God from everything because everything is that kalam of God, because it is that kun fayakun, it is to fayakun. The thing is fayakun, made by the kun or by the kun, spoken unto the meaning. We learn these meanings as roughness as I speak. Al-khushuna or al-khashana or al-thakhana. We learn what is the thought. How are they producing this sound, this meaning of roughness, rough texture? What about softness? Na'una, luyuna, ladana. Notice how the lam in the latitude, the lam is a meaning of softness, of pliability. Layyinun, right? The lam is a very pliable letter. It's loose, liquid. Notice how this Arabic is even part of English. English is Arabic. Lo ya'lamun. English is also Arabic. Everything is Arabic. Just depends upon our perception. People might think, no, only this is Arabic. Well, that's their perception. That is their closed-mindedness. Only this is the Quran. That is their perception, level of consciousness. Someone can look at the sun and see the Quran and read the Quran. Someone can do qira'ah of the Quran by studying the stars in the sky. In fact, we know that our Prophet Abraham did such a thing. We know that our Prophet Abraham read the book of the cosmos by gazing upon the stars themselves and attained unto divine knowledge therethrough. We can read and learn these meanings of the lamb, the bear, the moon, how they are coming together. Na'uma, na'ama, ni'ma, an'ama. We see how this is all coming together. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. This is how we learn. Everything is a learning opportunity. So your learning of Arabic must be in every single second. You must always be learning Arabic. You must always be speaking Arabic and thinking Arabic. The heart must always be alive in Arabic, because that is what the remembrance of God is. Dhikr is al-Arabiyyah. Again, if you understand what is being said. To finish off, perhaps, I will give a very brief I shall speak more about this next time, but to give a very brief overview. There are two things I want to make mention of. Al-qalb wal-qalib. Al-qalb, as we know, is the word for the heart. Qalib is a word for the body. So you might think of this as the mind-body duality. Now, just as everything has two dimensions, everything human has a qalbi dimension and a qalibi dimension. There is ibadatun qalbiyya wa ibadatun qalibiyya. There is the worship of the body, as when we bend down in prayer, as when we speak with our tongues these words, the physical worship. There is the worship of the heart. The heart itself can be in sujood. There is the sujood of the qalb, and there is the sujood al-qalb. The body can yasjud, or al-qalbu yasjud. What does it mean for the heart to do sujood? What does it mean for the heart to do ruku'? What does it mean for the heart to do a qiyam? There is the sadaqah of the hands. There is the sadaqah of the heart. The zakat of the heart. The shahada of the body upon the finger. The shahada upon the finger. The shahada upon the tongue. There is the shahada upon the heart. In the heart. What does that mean? This is my question for you to contemplate. There is taqallub, motion, especially cyclic motion. There is a taqallub of the qalb. Of course, the physical heart is beating, ever cycling through its states. The body is always in taharruk, which is the taqallub of the body. Particularly, every motion is generated by cyclic motion. That is true both physiologically, physically, and mathematically. But what is the taqallub of the qalb, the mind, the spiritual heart? What is the motion of the spiritual heart? Again, my question to you. Why is the ruh derived from the word rih, which is wind? Whence we have tarabuh. Tarabuh is oscillatory motion. Tarabuh, yatarabuh, like this. And nafs, the soul, is from nafs, which is breath. At-tanaffus is the breath. What is the difference between tarabuh and tanaffus? الروح تتراوح والنفس تتنفس. These are my questions unto you. Lastly, is another teaser of what is to come. There are the three tongues. We have three tongues, not one. There is one, of course, the lisan, the physical tongue. But there is also the janan, the mind, the inmost mind, which comes from Jannah, from whence jinn is derived, and also Jannah. Al-Jannu, Al-Junoon, it has a general meaning of hiddenness, like Kanna, Jannah. Well, Janan is the part of oneself which is actually hidden, the inward consciousness and mind. That is a tongue which speaks. The lisan, of course, is a tongue which speaks. Al-Banan, the fingertips, literally, is also a tongue which speaks. How can the fingertips speak? And how the mind? These also are my questions unto you. And what may be the Arabic of the body? What's the Arabic of the heart? And what is its relationship unto the Arabic of the tongue? I shall leave you with these questions. Also, in addition to what we have said about learning words as meanings, as imbibing reality, and learning words as the spiritual feast of God, where the heart itself will bring the meaning directly from its source. Everything is a vessel. الأشياء أواني وفيها المعاني. All things are vessels, like cups filled with the water of ma'ani. From each thing we can drink that water, drink that nectar, and become God-drunken in high ecstasy. That is the wine of paradise, not some worldly intoxicant, but a spiritual ecstasy which the soul rises in felicity, in perception of the Godhead, in utter oneness to become dissolute, and in that resplendent glory and gleam, to dance and sing with the worship and praise of God. I shall leave this here, and we shall continue this understanding of Arabic, in particular in its physical bodily dimension, and how to embody this learning in our next couple of lectures. Wassalamu alaikum.